Welcome to the channel, and in this, we are going to see the 5 basic laws to be a great Stoic. Law number 1. Detach yourself from everything. Detachment is the ability to let go, to not close ourselves off to things, people, the situations or emotions that cause us suffering or that prevent us from growing. Practicing detachment does not mean being indifferent, cold, selfish, but to be free, flexible and generous. Practicing detachment helps us live in the present, to accept reality as it is, to be grateful for what we have and to trust in the flow of life. Some ways to practice detachment are: identify and question the attachments we have, such as positions, relationships, beliefs, expectations, etc. Recognize and express the emotions that attachments generate in us, such as fear, anxiety, sadness, anger, etc. Let go of control and the need to be right and embrace uncertainty, surprise and learning. Forgive and ask for forgiveness and close the cycles that keep us tied to the past. Give and receive with love, without conditions, without demands and without dependencies. Let's see an example of detachment with the following anecdote from Diogenes. Diogenes, the Greek philosopher who lived in a barrel and renounced everything superfluous. He met Alexander the Great, the conqueror of the world, when he was on his way to India. It was a winter morning. The wind was blowing and Diogenes was resting on the bank of the river, on the sand, sunbathing naked. Alexander, admired by Diogenes' fame for wisdom, approached him and asked him, "What can I do for you?" Diogenes, "Ask me whatever you want. I only ask one thing of you," replied the philosopher, "that you move away a little, that you block the sun from me." Alexander was impressed by Diogenes' response and told his companions, if he weren't Alexander, he would want to be Diogenes. This anecdote shows the contrast between the detachment of Diogenes, who only needed the sun to be happy, and the attachment of Alexander, who sought glory and power at the cost of wars and conquests. It also shows the respect they had for each other, despite their differences. Law number 2. Surround yourself with nature. Nature is our mother, our source of life and wisdom. Living in harmony with it means respecting it, caring for it and learning from it. It also means recognizing that we are part of it, that we are connected to all living beings, and with the rhythm of the seasons, cycles and natural laws. Living in harmony with nature helps us to be in balance, to feel happier and to have a broader and deeper vision of reality. Some ways to live in harmony with nature are: practice outdoor activities, such as walking, hiking, camping, swimming, etc. Appreciate the beauty and diversity of nature, observing landscapes, plants, animals, stars, etc. Grow a garden or some plants at home and enjoy the process of sowing, watering, harvesting, etc. Reduce the consumption of natural resources, such as water, energy, paper, etc. and recycle, reuse and repair what we can. Support environmental causes, such as protecting forests, oceans, endangered species, etc. Let's see an example with an anecdote from Pythagoras, of how important it is to live in harmony with nature. Pythagoras, the famous Greek mathematician and philosopher, founded a school in Croton, southern Italy, where he taught his doctrines of order, harmony and reincarnation. According to Diogenes Laertio, Pythagoras had a great sensitivity towards animals, and he abstained from eating meat, because he believed that souls could transmigrate from one body to another. One day, as he passed a dog being whipped, Pythagoras told the owner to stop hitting him, because they recognized his barking as the voice of a deceased friend. Pythagoras is also said to have saved a bear from being stoned, and to have made it promise that he would never attack humans or animals again. The bear, according to legend, kept his word. This anecdote shows the respect and compassion that Pythagoras felt for all living beings, and his conviction that we are all part of the same reality, governed by the law of balance and proportion. Surrounding yourself with nature and living in harmony with it will fill your soul with peace, empty you of absurd desires and anxieties, and make every moment of your existence a blessing. Law number 3. Acceptance of what you cannot control. Stoicism is a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece, and is based on the idea that happiness depends on our internal attitude, and not on external circumstances. The Stoics believe that most things that worry or bother us are outside of our control, such as the weather, health, wealth, fame, the opinions of others, etc. Therefore, trying to change them or resist them only generates frustration, anxiety and suffering. On the other hand, the Stoics propose that we accept with serenity what we cannot control, and concentrate on what we can: our mind, our emotions, our actions, our values, etc. By doing so, we can free ourselves from the shackles of the external and live in accordance with our rational and virtuous nature. Stoic acceptance does not mean resignation, passivity or indifference. It means recognizing reality as it is, without denying, or judging it, and acting in the best way possible within our sphere of influence. For example, if we have an illness, we cannot control the fact that we are sick, but we can control how we take care of ourselves, how we relate to doctors, how we deal with pain, etc. Stoic acceptance helps us reduce stress and improve well-being because it allows us to focus on what that really matters, in what makes us happy and in what makes us better people. It helps us avoid the unnecessary suffering we cause ourselves by worrying about things that do not depend on. We already develop a positive, resilient and grateful attitude towards life. To better illustrate this concept, I am going to tell you a story that inspired me a lot. It is the story of James Stockdale, an American pilot who was captured and tortured during the Vietnam War. Stockdale was an admirer of Stoicism and had read the book Enchiridion by Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who had been a slave. In that book, Epictetus says, "Don't worry about what happens to you, but worry about how you react to what happens to you." Stockdale applied this teaching to himself when he was shot down and captured by the enemy. He knew that he couldn't control what was done to him, but he could control how he felt and how he behaved. So he stood his ground, endured the pain, communicated with other prisoners using a secret code, and he became a leader and an example to them. Stockdale survived 7 years of captivity and was awarded the Medal of Honor for bravery. Stockdale said Stoicism saved their lives, and that he taught him to accept what he couldn't control and focus on what he could. This is a lesson we can all learn and apply in our daily lives. No matter what happens to us, we can always choose how to react and how to act. We can always be masters of our mind and our destiny. Accept what you cannot control so that your mental and physical health is at its highest. Law number 4. Be virtuous and reduce vices to nothing. Virtue is the habitual and firm disposition to do good, to act in accordance with reason, ethics and morality. Vice is the tendency or inclination to evil, acting against reason, ethics and morality. Cultivating virtue and avoiding vices means seeking the good and rejecting the evil, both in ourselves and in others. Cultivating virtue and avoiding vices helps us to be better, wiser, fairer and happier. Some ways to cultivate virtue and avoid vices are to know and practice the classical virtues, such as prudence, justice, fortitude and temperance. Know and avoid capital vices, such as pride, greed, lust, anger, gluttony, envy and laziness. Reflect on our actions and evaluate whether they are virtuous or vicious, and whether they bring us closer or further away from our ideal life. Correct our defect and enhance our qualities, and help others to do the same. Admire and follow the example of virtuous people, and stay away from vicious people. Let's see a great anecdote from Socrates about this law. Socrates, Plato's famous teacher and founder of moral philosophy, was known for his simplicity, his moderation, and his irony. One day, walking through the Athens market, he stopped at a perfume stall and said, "What a lot of things he doesn't need." Then, he went to another stall where they sold jewelry and luxury items, and repeated, "What a lot of things I don't need." So he continued visiting the different stalls, admiring the merchandise, but without buying anything, and repeating the same phrase. Some passers-by mocked him and said, "Why do you come to the market, if you are not going to buy anything?" "I come to contemplate the abundance of the goods I possess," replied Socrates. "Well, seeing so many things that I don't need, I realize how rich I am." Law number 5. Focus your energy on what is under your control. In life there are many things that we cannot control, such as the weather, traffic, the opinions of others, world events, etc. However, there are other things that we can control, such as our thoughts, our words, our actions, our attitudes, our decisions, etc. Focusing on what is in our power means focusing on what we can do, change, improve or create, and not in what we cannot. Focusing on what is in our power helps us to be more responsible, more proactive, more creative and more effective. Some ways to focus on what is in our power are: set clear, realistic and achievable goals, and plan the steps to achieve them. Prioritize the most important, urgent and relevant tasks, and execute them with dedication and quality. Look for solutions to problems, instead of complaining, lamenting or blaming others. Take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to us, and create new ones if there are none. Develop our skills, abilities and talents, and apply them for our own benefit, and that of others. Let's look at the following example from Epictetus about the importance of this law. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, who had been a slave, he used to teach his students that the only thing that depends on us are our judgments, desires and versions, and that everything else is out of our reach. One day, one of his disciples asked him how he could apply this doctrine in his daily life. Epictetus proposed a practical exercise, telling him to tie a clay pot to his ankle and walk down the street. The disciple obeyed, and soon the vessel broke when it hit a stone. Epictetus asked him if he had been angry or saddened by the loss of the vase. The disciple answered no, because he knew that it was something external and fragile. Epictetus congratulated him on his attitude, and told him that this was how he should behave with everything that did not depend on him, even with his body, his family, and his friends. He explained to him that if he held on to things that could be taken away from him, he would suffer and become frustrated, but if he accepted them as borrowed and ephemeral, he would be free and happy. This anecdote shows Epictetus' advice to distinguish between what is in our power and what is not, and to concentrate on what comes first, which is our rational and virtuous will. This anecdote shows Socrates' attitude towards the vices of avarice, greed and vanity, which led him to despise material goods and value spiritual goods, such as wisdom, virtue and happiness. Thank you for having been there until the end. Every day we are closer to being great Stoics. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with your loved ones. That way you help me continue creating content for the channel. All the best, be happy,